All right, guys, today we're going to be doing a brake job on a 2012 Fiat 500. All right, guys, first thing to do, let's jack up the car. So get your floor jack underneath there, jack up one side, or if you have the availability to jack both sides up, put that front end up in the air. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take off this hubcap here and to pry outward with a flathead screwdriver. Now you have 4 lug nuts right here that you're going to be taking off. All right, so we're going to be using a 17mm socket, and what we're going to do is just get right on here. I'm going to use an electric impact that works really well to take these off. You can use air, you can use a breaker bar, whatever you want. Sometimes these things are stuck on there. This is what it's going to look like. Now you got to also realize you're going to be saving yourself a lot of money doing it yourself. Easy. And don't just change out your pads without replacing your rotors, or at least getting them turned. All right, so here's your caliper. Okay, this is your rotor, your caliper, your brake pads are right here. What we're going to be doing is we want to remove the outer section of your caliper right here. And so what we're going to do is get behind here, and on the back side, they have just a protective cover protecting the bolt there. And you just pry it off with a straight slot screwdriver. That's what it's going to look like. Now there's a bolt right underneath here. You'll have one up here on the top, and then you're going to have one down here on the bottom also. So we need to take these bolts out here. And actually what it is, it's a hex head. All right, so this is your hex head or an Allen head, and you're going to be using a number 7. Okay. And there you go. And this is what you're pulling out. Now you have one on the bottom. Do the same thing where you have to pop off that retaining plastic retainer. Okay, and then let's go ahead and remove the bottom one. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to get behind here, and we're just going to go ahead and pop these off. Okay, so they just come out like this right there on the top and the bottom. And then what you can do is just get behind your caliper and pry out. Now your brake pads will stay there. Okay, so get on the bottom and then pry out on that also, and then just wiggle it back and forth and it'll come right out. I just want to point this out. When you do your brakes, the brake pads and the rotors, they go hand in hand. Whether you replace the rotor and the brakes together, or if you have the rotors turned, you can do that also, but that takes time. It's easier just to go down and buy yourself a brand new rotor. And then when you buy the pads, they come in a set. Now, if you look here, this one does have a lot of wear pad on it still left. This is the wear indicator. So if you're squealing, you hear squealing going on, good chance it's this piece of metal touching the rotor. Okay, so now let's look at the caliper. So let's go ahead and pull this off. Okay, you're just going to pull back on it, just like that. Pull. Okay, so the brake pads I'm using for this here, it's the Premium Gold CarQuest GNAD 1568. And CarQuest makes a really good product. Okay, so here's the back that pops in here. So this is what it is going to look like when it's brand new. All right, so to press the caliper, you need to press this piston back in. So to press the piston back in, you can use a brake caliper spreader, which is this right here. I'll show you that in a minute. We've got this style of a caliper press. I've even used like quick grips. Those work really well also. All right, so before you get underway, you want to open up your bleeder screw. So it's going to let the air out of it. You're going to lose some fluid. But what you want to do is you want to open it up. That way when you're pressing this in, all the air is going to escape. And so what we're using is a 7mm to open up the bleeder screw. Now let's get on here with the spreader. Okay, you just set it right down in there, and it is ratcheting. Okay, and as you can tell, it's leaking right there. So get something underneath here, put an oil pan underneath here, put some rags down, piece of cardboard, just to catch that that brake fluid. And also the brake fluid that you're going to be putting back in here is going to be a .3. All right, and so this is pretty easy. Just keep doing it until it pushes all the way back, and then it will bottom out. It will not be able to go any further. Okay, it's just like that, and that's what it's going to look like. And these are very inexpensive. If you buy it off Amazon or eBay, I don't even remember what I paid, but I don't think it was any more than 20 bucks. So go ahead and now that it's completely bottomed out, where the piston is all the way pushed back in, let's go ahead and up your bleeder screw. So let's get back on here and just tighten it up. That way you get no more fluid loss. Okay, and then let's go ahead and take this off. There you go, just like that. Now it's fully reset and ready for the new brake pads. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just put it back here and then just kind of set it up behind, just set it down behind here. You don't want to have any pressure being put on the brake line just hanging there. So anyways, let's get underway with the rotor. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be removing the caliper mounting bolts. These are for the mounting bracket itself. So we're going to go ahead and take this off. There's going to be one on the top and then one on the bottom. All right, so what we're going to be using is a 19mm and a breaker bar. So let's get on there with the breaker bar, because this is such a small area, you're going to have a hard time getting in an impact. Start on the lower one. Just pop on here, and then let's just start loosening this up. Those are not that tight. Okay. I can put let me just do this real quick. Now that they're loose, I can get them off easier. Okay, there we go. This is what it's going to look like. There's your bolt. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and remove the bottom one also, and then we'll take off your mounting bracket for your caliper. I'll tell you, air tools are so much easier If you have the availability, wow. If you have the availability, use it. But anyways, let's go ahead and take off your bracket. All right, so the next thing that you're going to do is we have to take off these are little guide pins here, and these are threaded in to your hub, so you do need to take this off. So let's go ahead and remove that at this time. All right, so what we're going to be using is a 12 millimeter to get these out, and like I said, they just screw right into the hub. All right, so sometimes these are stuck on here if they've been on for a while, and they could have a little rust through in here. So what you want to do is you want to hit on the back side, just use like a dead blow hammer, and then just tap around until it pops off. Just like that. But see, if you notice, see that? That's all rusted. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up really quick. Just good practice to get into. And just using a little penetrating oil, we're going to go ahead and just scrub it. Doesn't take much, and then we'll clean off the penetrating oil. Okay. There we go. Here's your new rotor, and these are the two that I just took out. That's where these go right here, and it's going to line up here and here. So you want to put those right like that, and let's go ahead and start screwing them in. Now don't tighten these up until you get the other one in, so you want both of them in before you get it tightened up. This holds it in place also, so it aligns everything just like that. All right, so let's go ahead and tighten these up. Now, if you notice that it's turning, you know, it'll freely turn. You can tighten these up a little bit later too. Just don't forget to tighten these up. But with an air ratchet, it tightens it up tight enough that you don't have to worry about it later. Okay. All right, now these are also CarQuest, and this is the number we're using, the YH324569P. All right, at this time, let's go ahead and mount up the caliper mounting bracket. So go ahead and install that. All right, so yeah, go ahead and just start tightening these up. Upper and the lower for your bolts, and then throw your air on there to tighten it up. Okay, there's one. All right, so what we're going to be using is a torque wrench. Let's get on the back side here of these bolts. Let's go ahead and get them tightened up. So again, 77. There you go. So you heard it click. Okay, and then come down to the bottom one. Okay, there you go. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to grab up the brake pads. Okay, so you've got this one that pops into the back side, and that's why it stayed with the caliper as we took it off. Now the one on the front side doesn't have that, so you can just take it and slide it in. Now here's your wear indicator right here, so we can go ahead and pop it in place just like this. Okay, now there's grooves. If you see here, there's grooves there. It's pretty easy to do. This groove right here to that groove right there. Okay, and then what we're going to do, and if you get it backwards, you can't do it, because even though there's grooves there, the dish is incorrect. So see the contour right here? It's going to match this. So what you're going to do, you're just going to take it, put it on there, push it down, and there's your first one in place. You're making headway. All right, so the next one, you want to grab up your caliper. Now, you don't want to keep twisting this line, so make sure that line isn't all twisted up, because if you keep twisting it, it'll bind up on you. You don't want that. So make sure that it's like that when you put it back on. So let's flip this thing over. We're going to install this one. Same thing. The way the contour goes, you're just going to set it right down in here. And what we're going to do is just going to take, and you want these two pins to pop down inside of here. So just make sure that you get these things down in there. Sometimes they're a little harder to get in, but once they pop in, they're in. Okay, and then you can always push in on them if you want. Get one side started like that, and then push it inward, like so. And kind of wiggle it around. There. And it just popped right in place. So it's going to look like that. All right, so now we are to the point where we can slide the caliper back on. Again, remember that these brackets have to slide in, so you want to guide it. You want to guide it into these brackets up top here, just like that. All right, so now these are your slide pins. And so when we go ahead and put them back in, we do torque these down also. I'm going to use a little tiny bit of dielectric grease on here, not much. You don't want an overabundance, but it helps with it to slide back and forth. And also too, the nice thing is dielectric grease doesn't clump up, and it actually lasts over a period of time. Where if you use like just regular standard wheel bearing grease, it can clump up, it can dry out. Dielectric grease does not do that. Just run just a little bit on there. It just helps with the sliding of it. Okay, so there's one. Not much. Okay, let's go ahead and slide that in. Okay, now let's go ahead and coat this one. I mean, you don't want this, that's way too much. Just enough. This also wicks away water and all sorts of stuff, so I don't know. I like using that. Okay, let's go ahead and install that one. Okay, let's go ahead and screw those down. All right, so when you're tightening up the slide pin bolts, you're going to tighten them up to 21 foot-pounds. Go ahead and tighten those down, the upper and the lower, and then make sure that you put the caps back on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to pop in the front section right here, and it goes back behind here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing here. Now you're going to have to use, once it's here behind, you're going to have to use a pair of pliers, pull out, and lock it in. Just like kind of, sort of. There, just like that. So make sure that it's seated all the way down. It puts pressure. What this is designed to do, it puts pressure on the pad and holds it up against the rotor. All right, so now you are completely done with the assembly of your brakes and rotors. Now what we need to do is, the most crucial, is to bleed the system. So we're going to be using the bleeder screw right here. Now you can put, you can put a hose on the end of that, a little like a vacuum line or whatever, and you can just put it on there. See-through is way better because then you can see the bubbles escaping, and put it in a bucket, and then you don't make a big mess. All right, so one of the biggest things that people screw up is on your brake master cylinder, which is located on the driver's side of your vehicle, right behind the battery. You'll see on the front here, it's a .3. That is the brake fluid that you need to put in. You need a .3. Do not put in anything other than .3. And this is also a CarQuest product. But one of the biggest mistakes that people do, they'll actually let the reservoir run low, and then it starts sucking air. If you start sucking air because the fluid is completely depleted, you're going to go back through and redo all the bleeding process all over again, and you'll probably have to bleed the your brake master cylinder. So it's not a good thing. So come up here frequently, check to maintain the fluid levels, and you'll be good. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab a open-end or box-end wrench. I'm going to use a crescent wrench since my open ends do not go down to a 7mm. That's the size that you're going to need for this bleeder screw. And then we're going to use a 3/8 inch clear tubing. That way you can see the air bubbles escaping out. If you have anything else, you're not going to be able to see that. You want clear fluid running through, no air bubbles at all. And that way you know that the system has been bled correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to get somebody in the driver's seat. They're going to push the brake pedal down and up and just start pumping it. And then after about 3 or 4 times, they're going to push the pedal down and hold it. And then you're going to crack this open, and then the fluid is going to start running out. Then they're going to keep that brake pedal down. You're going to close it, and then you can tell them to release the brake pedal, and then it comes back up. And you're going to repeat that until all the air is out of the caliper, out of the system, out of the lines on this side here. So let's go ahead and have them pump the brakes. So they're going to push it down to the floor, back up, just like you're stopping your vehicle. And then when you say hold it, they're going to push down and hold it. So then what we're going to do is we'll open up the bleeder screw. You'll see the fluid release. Okay, you'll see some air in there. You want to close it off before any air goes back in. Okay, go ahead and pump. Okay, hold it. Okay, close it off. Okay, you can relax. And don't forget to, you want to have a catch basin underneath there to catch the oil. Go ahead and pump. Okay, hold it. Okay, go ahead and release. Okay, so now we want to jump up here and we want to make sure that the reservoir hasn't dropped too far. Okay, so go ahead and check that. If it has, then fill it back up, get it up to the appropriate amount. All right, I'm going to go a couple more and then I should be good on this side. Go ahead and pump. Okay, hold it. See, there's no air bubbles at all, which is a good thing. Okay, release. Okay, pump. Okay, hold it. There's a little tiny one come out, but that's pretty good for me. And you want to close it before any air bubbles go back in. So this side is all done. So go ahead and get it good and snug. You don't want to over tighten these because they do break off pretty easy. And then you just want to clean this up, and then we'll put a cap on it here. All right, so the other thing that you want to do too is, you're cleaning this area up. You don't want to have any brake fluid anywhere. You can use brake clean. Do not use anything else, just brake clean. You can buy that at your auto parts store. Go ahead and spray it down. You can just spray your whole entire rotor, and it cleans it up pretty good. And anyways, just do a once over. Clean up all anything you see that's leaking, like if you have any drips or anything from when you were bleeding the caliper. And then again, spray the brake clean on your rotors to get off, because if you notice, there's a lot of residue, the oil and stuff all over here, and you need to take that off. All right, and so the other thing too is if you did not get these tight enough, while the person is in the driver's seat, pumping the brakes for you, bleeding the brakes, at the very end, have them press the brake pedal down, and then go ahead and tighten these up. This side is done. Don't forget your cap. Put your cap back on. Make sure that your bleeder screw is secured. And then we can go ahead and button this side up, move over to the other side, and do exactly the same on the other side. Let's go ahead and put your rim and tire back on, get that bolted up, and then I'm going to actually jump over to the other side now that I'm done here, and because I do need to use my floor jack for the other side. There you go, just like that. And then let's get your lug nuts. All right, so let's go ahead and get these lug nuts going, okay? And so I'm just gonna pop them in. Since they're recessed back there, you kind of wanna, it's a little harder to just screw them in by hand, so you're gonna have to use like a socket with a little extension or something to that nature. And then we're just gonna go ahead and bring them up until they're just hand tight, just like that. And we'll do this other side here real quick. Run this one in. Okay, now let's get the other two. Okay, there's one and two. Okay, so now when you're tightening this up, you want to go here to here, from here to here. You have to go in a straight across pattern, so like a crisscross pattern. You want to go like, again, here to here, here to here. Do not go around in a circle, because then you can get your rim offset. So if you're going to, I'm using an impact here. Okay, so I'm just going to run them up, jump across, jump down, jump up. Just like that. And then what we're going to do is we need to torque these. We're going to do it in the same fashion, but since the wheel moves, what we need to do is set the rim and tire on the ground. So let's go ahead at this time and lower down your jack so the wheel is touching the concrete. Straight across. And there you go. And the next thing that you need to do is put your little hubcap on there. All right, something else I want to show you too real quick. Best way to identify the fluid level, where it's at, you can shine a light on one side of it, and then what it will do is it illuminates through, and then you can see where your level is at. So put it on the opposite side. Now I was going to show you the minimum and maximum level on this. Okay, so if you see, there's an arrow right there. It's kind of hard to see it. There it is. That's your maximum that you want your fluid level to be at. Your minimum is right down there. You'll see the other arrow. That's the minimum level that you want it to be at. So anywhere in between is fine. I always take it up to the maximum. Hopefully this video helped you out. Please like, subscribe. I got a ton of videos on the FIAT, so stay tuned for